I hope that we get some things accomplished today and that you go home happy that you've been heard.
It's going to be a great day. It's just going to go snap, snap, snap.
Do we have a short video we can fill some time with over there?
Following orders, not knowing what they do, not caring. You mean like Democrats?
Hello, this is Bob Holloway. I'd like to tell you something about the Republican State Convention and how it interacted with the national campaign of John McCain. John McCain has asked Americans to vote for him for president. But before making that decision, voters should know how John McCain came to be the nominee with no opposition at the national convention. As a Republican and a resident of Nevada, I can tell you that the McCain campaign used tactics in Nevada that are seldom used in a presidential campaign, and that should be an embarrassment to all Republicans.
And now I would call the 2008 Nevada State Convention to order.
On April 26th of this year, the Republican State Convention was held in Reno. More than 1,300 delegates attended. One of the main reasons for the convention was to elect delegates to the national convention. The party leadership was committed to John McCain. Although McCain had finished in third place in Nevada, behind Ron Paul and Mitt Romney, by the time of the state convention, McCain had gained enough delegates in other parts of the country to be assured of winning the nomination. Nevertheless, the McCain campaign was concerned that if Ron Paul made a strong showing at the convention in Nevada, these delegates could possibly be an embarrassment to John McCain at the national convention. So apparently the McCain campaign made an early decision to do whatever was necessary to prevent Ron Paul from gaining any delegates from the state of Nevada. In this effort, they were greatly aided by Sue Loudon and the leadership of the Nevada Republican Party. Sue Loudon is the chairman of the state party. But the state party leadership was worried because they had reason to believe that the Ron Paul faction would come to the convention in large numbers. In the week prior to the convention, the state party and the McCain campaign conducted 2 polls of the convention delegates in order to try to measure the strength of the Ron Paul faction. In order to do that, the polls were intentionally misleading as to the purpose of the polls. This is the first indication we had that the McCain campaign and the state party would not be entirely honest and above board in their conduct of the state convention. On Saturday, April 26th, the ballroom at the Peppermill Hotel in Reno was filled with anxious delegates, with neither side knowing the exact strength of the other. After a great deal of preliminary discussion and arguments, the convention came to a crucial vote. The state party leadership wanted the delegates to approve a list of delegates to the national convention that had been selected by the party leadership. But the Ron Paul faction and others wanted to nominate delegates from the floor. On the crucial vote, the method sponsored by the party leadership failed by a vote of 752 to 405. Here you can see delegates holding up their badge in a vote for the amendment that allowed nomination of delegates to the national convention from the floor of the state convention. This overwhelming vote effectively took control of the convention away from the party leadership on the matter of delegate selection. At this point, it is very likely that the party leadership began looking for ways to close down the convention. The same amendment to allow nominations from the floor also required that 9 delegates be selected from 3 congressional districts. This was also a procedure not wanted by the party leadership, because the party leadership wanted to name all the delegates. Another 22 delegates were to be elected on an at-large basis. All of the debate and voting consumed much time, and late in the afternoon, the voting by congressional district was still underway, with approximately 6 of the 9 delegates having been selected from 2 of the 3 congressional districts. 4 of the 6 delegates were won by the Ron Paul faction, and prospects looked good for the remaining 3 delegates to be Ron Paul delegates also. Suddenly the election was halted and the ballot boxes were taken away by the party leadership. The party leadership had decided to halt the election rather than allow any more delegates not committed to John McCain to be elected. The excuse given was that we had run out of time, but no effort had been made to extend the time in the hall, and it was found later that the hotel had no objection to the convention continuing. The convention was also ended without discussion and without a vote, which was contrary to the rules of the convention. And the rules of the convention at this point were the Roberts Rules of Order. In the few weeks after the convention, Sue Loudon and the party leadership claimed that the convention was ended because they ran out of time, and for a while the news media generally accepted that explanation. But a team of reporters from Time magazine came to Las Vegas and interviewed several delegates to the convention, including one who had overheard the party chairperson, Sue Loudon, discussing ways that the convention could be recessed and asking if a recess would void the elections. In July, Time published a long article which was sympathetic to the insurgent viewpoint about the abrupt closing of the state convention. The Time article seems to have been a turning point in the public perception of the recessed convention. Reporters no longer automatically accepted the version of events offered by the party leadership. News media began to see the convention as the insurgents saw it, which is that the state party leadership closed the convention because the leadership did not like the outcome of the elections. Remember that when they closed the convention, the 22 at-large delegates had yet to be selected. But the state party leadership could see how things were going because of the congressional district elections. Although when they recessed the convention, the state party leadership promised to restart the convention soon, it became apparent that they had no desire to restart the convention and risk losing control of the delegate selection process. When the leadership was unresponsive to requests for a restart, a movement started to restart the convention without the cooperation of the party leadership. In theory, the delegates to a convention have the final authority, and if a quorum could be obtained, it should have been possible to restart without the approval of party leaders. So we restarted the convention on June 28th with 327 credentialed delegates. The same badges that were issued at the April convention were accepted as evidence of having the proper credentials. A full slate of delegates and alternates to the National Convention were selected at the June 28th convention. The state party leadership boycotted the June 28th convention and made a strong effort to discourage attendance. In June and July, the state party leadership announced tentative plans to restart their own convention on July 26th, but they made clear that getting a quorum might be a problem and promoting a mail-in ballot as an alternative. They wanted anything that would substitute for a convention that they could not control. They eventually decided not to attempt to restart the convention. In late July, contrary to state law, the party leadership appointed delegates and alternates to the National Convention, ignoring those elected at this June 28th restart and also ignoring those few who had been legitimately elected in April, even though the elections in April were supervised by the party regulars. With the National Convention to start on September 1st, the Nevada Party had two rival slates of delegates. A hearing was conducted to decide the issue in the week prior to the National Convention. The hearing panel was named by the National Republican Party.